It's the summer of 1946, and holidaymakers at Clacton were having the time of their lives at the holiday camp reopened after the war. Their fun and games were all organised courtesy of a household name in holidaymaking, Butlins. One of the big attractions of a Butlins holiday were the round-the-clock activities and entertainments. And for the Jacobs family from London, this made the holiday camp their ideal destination. From the age of 3, Norman Jacobs and his parents returned year after year to spend their holidays in a Clacton chalet.
If it's wet, it's fine at Butlins. In a way, summed it up really. I mean, that was the point of coming to Butlins for a holiday, because there was so much to do on the camp. So even if it was raining, even if it rained the whole week and you couldn't get out, there was still lots to do there. I think the other important thing about it was that the cost was all in as well. You paid to go to the camp, and then in theory you could spend the whole week and have a good time with no money at all. This is a programme from 1953 when I actually went there. I'm just looking at some of the things there. For example, on the Sunday, Punch and Judy in the playground, 11:15 to 12. I remember going to that every year. That was one of the highlights for me. There was the Butlin Holiday Princess competition. It was quite a big thing at Butlins. I mean, people would pick their own favourite and let the judges know who they thought should win. No one turned a hair, I think, at the Holiday Princess competition in those days. There was a first prize of £1,000 for that, which was a lot of money in 1953.
Many of the activities at Butlins relied heavily on camper participation. Holidaymakers were allocated into different houses to give events a competitive edge. But camp owner and promoter Billy Butlin also introduced a new character that would become one of the most memorable figures in holiday camp history.
He'd laid on a lot of these entertainments and everything, but people weren't taking part. They were a bit reluctant, they were standing back. And what he realised was that he needed someone to lead them in the entertainments. So he invented the redcoats. A big part of their job was doing that, was actually encouraging people to take part in all these entertainments and getting them involved in everything, and really firing them up to win the points for their house.
For 8 years, the Jacobs were enrolled in Gloucester House. But although the family loved Butlins, they were not always keen to join in the hijinks.
My dad wasn't really into all this sort of thing. He called them the all-for-its, was what his word for all these people were, because you did get some who were really enthused. I mean, they were in everything. You know, they were in the football team, the cricket team, the swimming team. They just went for everything that was going. We used to go and watch a lot of these things. It was one of the things you did when you were in a holiday camp in those days. That was what going to a holiday camp was for. It was all part of this camaraderie of the whole camp, really. The whole camp was involved in it, and there was this great feeling of friendliness and, you know, everyone together.
In 1938, celebrities were a big draw. Butlin would bring in big names from cinema, show business and sport to add lustre to judging panels and to meet their public.
This is actually my autograph book from 1955. My best one was to Norman with best wishes, Maurice Tate. He played for England before the war. He was a very famous cricketer, and he was the cricket coach. So that's my star autograph down there.
The Butlins formula worked, and numbers of happy campers at Clacton were growing. And by the time Norman was photographed among the crowds of spectators, he was part of the big post-war Butlins boom.
The heyday of Butlins was really the 50s and possibly going into the early 60s. After that, it was getting a bit old hat, really. And as people started to get more affluent and started going abroad for holidays, it just faded into the background, really, of that sort of holiday. But for its time, it was just wonderful, and I mean, you know, it was certainly my ideal holiday.
Norman was 8 when he made his last childhood visit to Butlins. But in 1983, the year the camp closed, he was back seeking to give his son Robert the Clacton camp experience.
When I went back in the 1980s, I mean, it just looked old. You know, the paint was peeling off all over the place, and it was just looking old and tired, really. It wasn't how I remembered it. It wasn't the same as I remembered it from all those years before.